What's up, nerds? Hope you're having a great Singles Awareness Day. As for me, I honestly didn't expect anything when I picked this game up. I got it for like $2 on Steam because it was on sale, and I figured, why not? Looks neat. I genuinely had no preconceptions or expectations from this game, so the quality of it immediately caught me off guard. The premise is that lovers Kay and Yu flee their home planet so they can be together and now have to carve out a life on a new planet called Source. The first thing this game gets right is they let Yu and Kay be whatever type of relationship that you want them to be. They can be guy-girl, girl-girl, guy-guy, it doesn't matter. For this video, I went with the guy-girl option, but the fact that it is an option is super smart, letting people have whatever kind of relationship in their game that they want. The next thing they get right is that these two are adults that are well past the honeymoon phase of their relationship. They've already reached a very stable point, so when they learn something new about each other, it's a minor detail and is treated like, huh, cool, and that's it. They also very clearly do it multiple times throughout the whole story. It's never treated as a big deal, just another part of their routine. This is another great part of the game. Real adult couples do it. Some do it a lot, some do it every now and again. It's not a big deal, it's just a fact. They could have easily over-exaggerated the significance of their ring-a-ding. So I appreciate that they made sure to keep the relationship believable in every aspect. The meat of the gameplay is exploring the various regions of Source. You have a casual walking, but trust me, you'll be doing basically all of your movement with the flow boots. Flow is, in the simplest terms, just a type of universal energy source. Flow is everywhere on Source, and you can use it for a lot of fun movement options. Occasionally, a region will be covered in something called rust. It's a type of corrupted flow. Using your own flow, you can purify the rust. But be careful, because any of the wildlife that's been afflicted by this rust is going to be hostile and attack you. Luckily, Yu and Kay are equipped for a fight. They can punch, blast, use an item, or produce a shield. The shield will allow Yu or Kay to protect the other from a single incoming attack. As a result, you should never have both of them blocking at the same time. Rather, you should alternate between blocking and attacking for both of them. As you develop their relationship, they'll gain the ability to use combo attacks, where you can have both of them attack at the same time for heavy damage. Certain wildlife is vulnerable to certain attacks, and have patterns that'll require you to be patient and wait for an opening before you attack. Also, here's a tip. After any fight, switch to whichever one of them has the most health, and then put your controller down. Just let Yu and Kay be idle for a few minutes. After a couple of seconds, they will embrace and heal whichever one of them that has less health up to the level of the one that has more health. It'll help keep you from burning through your medical supplies. In fact, using this mechanic made it so that I never needed to use either of the two med packs that you start out with for the whole game. And that's another thing. This game is not going to challenge you. It was designed to be easy. Because of that, the appeal of the game isn't combat and it isn't difficulty. It's the atmosphere and the story. Playing this game is one of the most mentally soothing experiences I have ever had. I genuinely and unironically relaxed while playing this game, even while fighting something that the game would consider to be a boss character. Regarding the story, look, if you really want to avoid spoilers, then either come back after beating the game or skip to this time in the video, but honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal for a game like this one. One last note, actually, before I start the story, I want to commend the game's 2D artwork. It looks like a webtoon art style, and it's charming as boot. Like I said, Yu and Kay are runaways from their home planet, the Apiary. Yu lived in the more high society sector, while Kay was an orphan. Their people have a system called the Matchmaker that predetermines who each person is supposed to marry. But Yu and Kei were not matched as mates by the matchmaker. They fell in love on their own and fought to stay together. One day, they grabbed what essentials they could, got into Yu's ship called the Nest, and flew off to the uninhabited planet of Source. Shortly after they arrive, a tremor hits the islet that they were parked on, and it damages the nest to the point where it can no longer fly. It's at this point that Yu and Kei, armed with a flow glove and pair of flow boots each, venture across the islets of Source. Remember when I said Source was uninhabited? Well, that's only partly true. Yu and Kei stumble upon various islets that have abandoned housing that they recognize from the apiary, as well as all manner of construction and flying equipment. They also find an abrasive red substance called rust. It takes Kei like the whole game to come to the conclusion the player can suss out in a minute that rust is a form of corrupted flow but can be eroded by hovering across it on the flow boots. As they clean up the rust on the islets, they'll acquire various different chunks of rust that can be used for all manner of crafting, as well as edible fruits and medicinal plants. And it is now that the whole scope of the game comes into focus. You have to scour all of Source to find rust and replacement parts for the nest to repair it, while always looking for food so that Yu and Kei can stay well fed. And this is actually very important because of combat. See, every action you can do in combat has a charging timer, and if they're hungry, then the charging timer is extended and the window for your combo attacks are greatly reduced. Thankfully, you can always see their hunger level with a meter on the status screen in the pause menus. Not only that, but when they do get hungry, they'll comment on it with each other while you play as a notice for the player. If you're like really far from the nest and they need to eat, you're not up the creek entirely. See, every now and again you'll find these things. They act as camping grounds that the couple can use to eat and rest. But it's worth mentioning that once you use a campsite, you won't be able to use it again until after you've returned to the nest. So keep that in mind. If at any point you do need to reach the nest quickly, then keep an eye out for this particular foliage, because if you put a cooked meal there, it'll draw Burble, who will let you ride her to whatever islet you've already been to that's free of rust. Burble makes progressing further away from the nest much faster and way more convenient. As you progress, you'll find a device, and when you interact with it, they will accidentally send a signal out to the apiary, meaning they just tattled on themselves. Not too long after that, Yu and Kei get ambushed by Hornets, the mechanical sentries of the apiary. The Hornets are a really dangerous enemy type that can only be beaten by constant barraging, not combo attacks. Once the Hornets are beaten, Yu and Kei discover a comm station and try to get it up and running, hoping they can contact Yu's mother, who would most likely have answers about Source's previous colonization. Yu's mother is not a very sympathetic person. She pretends to sympathize with Yu and Kei choosing to love each other, but she clearly is only interested in them obeying the matchmaker. When asked about Source, we learn that the apiary had colonized Source as a research location to try various experiments with flow. It all resulted in things going haywire as rust spreads like crazy across the planet and it breaks apart into the islets we know now. At that point, the apiary abandoned the project and the planet as a whole, wiping their hands of the mistake and leaving the planet to suffer for their arrogance. Yu's mother goes on to mention how Lord Ozius, a snobby nobleman, is furious and demanding that Yu return, much to Kei's confusion, but Yu cuts the transmission before the conversation can go any further. When the two get back to the nest, Yu admits that Ozius is the mate that the matchmaker assigned to her. This causes the two to get into a huge fight, Kei being angry about Yu never telling him about this, and Yu getting upset that Kei isn't being supportive of her confessing this uncomfortable truth. They're both valid in being angry. We cut to the next morning with Kei, and Yu is nowhere to be found. Kei instantly forgets their argument and is terribly worried about Yu. He realizes that she probably went out to the comm station and hurries that way. But as he's getting close, a major tremor hits the islet, shattering it into multiple pieces and leaving the two stranded from each other on different islet fragments. When the two reunite, they make amends and agree to handle the Ozius business together. At some point around this time, you will randomly bring up Recalibration, an apiary wives' tale where the council brainjacks a person to wipe out all memory of something or someone. And later still, you notice a drone crash onto an elevated islet chunk, and when you get up there, they get confronted by a hologram of Ozius. Ozius tells them that he's on his way to Source soon, and that you can either accept him or be recalibrated. That's when you and Kay come up with a crazy idea. Sever the planet's flow bridge. Remember, the only way these people are able to conduct interplanetary travel is through the flow bridges that connect the planets to one another. But if a planet were to lose its flow bridge, then no spacecraft could ever land on it. But it also means that no spacecraft could ever leave Source again. Doing this would permanently strand themselves on Source for the rest of their lives. Using 2 shards of super rust that they acquired across their exploration, you augments their flow gloves and boots to be used to absorb the flow bridge's energy and sap it entirely. Once the nest is fully repaired, you're able to access the finale and epilogue where they successfully cut the Source's flow bridge and ensure their lives on Source will never be uprooted by Ozius or the apiary ever again. There's a few details here and there I'm leaving out, but if you want to learn more about them, I cannot recommend playing this game enough. It really is that good of a time. This game honestly does not have much to talk about unless you try to piece the whole story together like I did, but that's not to say it's a bad game. It's a super chill and calming game. It also has co-op features, so you can team up with your significant other and play with them. I can't speak to the quality of the multiplayer aspect as I am chronically single, but I assume that it's just as enjoyable. This may just be a vibe game, but it's a damn good vibe game. And I'm willing to give it a 10 out of 10 for that. This is one of those games that I can recommend you play after a hard day. Exhausted from work? Had a tough exam in class? Just not feeling very positive in general? Try this game out. It might just be the trick you need. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Also, really sorry if I sound a little weird right now. I'm just coming down from being sick, so yeah. I hope I don't sound too stuffy or whatever. Check out my buddy Tyler Crux. He does a lot of fun stuff on his channel, like his Dead Island Let's Play. That's a pretty interesting one. He and I collab all the time. We'll catch you later, nerds.